Hello, viewers! Welcome! This is Roll for Crit, and you're watching a special live edition of Board Game Battle. Normally, we record these in the comfort of our studio set, where we pit games against each other, but today we're coming to you live, perhaps in honor of Passover. Of course, today is the second day of Passover, so that's a big deal. Well, explain to the folks at home who may not know, what is a board game battle?
So, on our channel, we usually have these videos called Board Game Battles, where we pull two board games out of this fun little Star Wars helmet, and we will read the games off. We will then decide which one we think is better by our own terms. Maybe we think the game is just better, it's the one we like more. We tend to shift from time to time. Of course, we have a list you can check on rollforcrit.com to see what has happened in the past and how we've ranked these things, see which ones wins. Now, if there's a tie, then we're going to go head-to-head and look at Board Game Geek scores to see which game has a higher rating. So you will be the ones who decide the tie.
Yeah.
But also, we have vetoes. So far, we've only used a veto once. But pretty much each of us has a veto to spend. And if there's a tie, we can say, no, my game wins.
Yeah, the veto system, it's not a perfect system, but
No.
we're working on it. And there's no rhyme or reason to these games. Sometimes they're completely mismatched. That's just the way it is. And if you're watching right now on the live stream, you can also chat and let us know what you think. Maybe we'll take your opinions into account. Keep in mind, there's probably a delay. So without further ado, let's do it. Let's get started. Let's battle some board games.
By the way, in addition, we said this is special, but this may become more commonplace.
I guess there was a little more ado. I said without further ado, but I lied.
All right, so first off, we have Lattice Hawaii. This is a abstract game?
Yeah, abstract tile placement, sort of like a mahjong, not really mahjong, rummy cube, like that kind of thing.
Versus
independent game.
Cryptid, the abstract game about trying to find cryptid creatures.
Yeah, well, I love Cryptid. I mean, I think
so do I.
This is an obvious. In fact, you might be able to see it behind me right there on my shelf right now. This is an easy choice. Yeah, Cryptid is a really fun, cerebral game.
Yeah, I try to push that almost every game night, and usually it's, we're too tired at this point.
I'm usually up for it, yeah. Player count, that can change too.
Oh, obviously, player count,
Obviously.
All right, so next up. Oh, by the way, we're changing something. We're leaving them out. Usually we throw them back in the bucket.
That's right.
This way we don't get, DC Rebirth 5 times in an episode?
No repeats, so we're going to be adding some fresh new ones to
Pokemon Master Trainer. Is that the old
Pokemon Master Trainer? That is the original old Pokemon board game.
My God, I didn't know you put that in here.
That's right. There's a lot of games in there that we've played. So you go around the board, catch Pokemon, roll dice. A lot of rolling dice.
Oh man, I miss those Pogs.
Yeah. By the way, I apologize. Usually we put the games on the screen, but we're live right now, so you'll have to picture them in your head.
But this one is a new one to the bucket, or new in terms of last time we played this. Oceans. That one is behind me, literally like right there.
Yeah.
Actually, the mic's blocking it. But as much as Pokemon has a lot of nostalgia for me, Oceans definitely beats it.
Yeah, Oceans, the sequel to Evolution. We reviewed it. It came out just this year. It seems like so long ago now, but yeah, great game. Whereas Pokemon Master Trainer, I loved it when I was a kid. I don't think it's good.
As a kid, I've seen the things I remember. It's a roll and move, and almost everything is rolling. And I'm sure if I played it, I'd despise it right now.
It's a bad game. No, you had to roll. It was a roll to catch. Too. Yeah, and if you
I remember, I think Articuno, which is my favorite. The legendaries are 5 or only 6s, something like that.
Yeah, you had to roll 4 dice and get all 6s. It was a terrible game. All right, what's next?
All right. Okay. Now going from our top 10 lists, Robinson Crusoe: Adventures on the Cursed Island versus. Don't want to look in. Don't want to.
A lot of suspense. Let's see
man.
What can.
The Arrival.
The Arrival from Cryptozoic, which is area control game.
if I'm remembering correctly, because I'm mixing it up in my head with
you go around and you have to take on little creatures, and you can move them around to other people's.
Right. It's based
areas.
on old Ireland, I think it was.
Yeah, it's Celtic
And you could sort of decide whether to have a corrupted victory versus like a united victory. And then you have to look at depending on how much corruption people have versus how many points you have in the land. It's a very interesting game, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. I think for a game like that's more like territory control, it was very interesting since the win condition can change. That said, it's up against Robinson Crusoe.
Yep, one of our favorite games.
Both of our top 10 lists. So I'm really sorry, Arrival. I think you had a good chance to beat a lot in this bucket. Not that.
Yeah, I do agree that the Arrival, though, it's definitely losing this fight, but it's a pretty good game that I think is under a lot of people's radars from last year. So, like, worth checking out, at least taking a look at it.
I feel these are some very easy picks so far.
Yes, so far, no real tough battles.
Debate.
We're starting off slow.
Though we do try to make our decisions a little quick.
All right, that's right.
Next up, the game Eclipse, one of our friends' favorites. Not so sure about us.
It has its strengths and weaknesses.
Versus 12 Realms. This is one of the games that tends to pop up a lot, so I'm happy we're doing the
taking them out of the bucket. And it's a game that like no one's ever heard of, so it keeps going on our list. Yeah, 12 Realms is a fairy tale themed co-op game.
It has a lot of different modules, so you can decide how to play. There's also, I think, a trader mechanic and a bunch of weird expansions. But Eclipse, I think, well, I have some problems with it. I think is overall better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely have issues with it. Still interested in that second edition. Is Eclipse Dawn of the Ancients? Is that the full title, or is that the second edition's name?
I can't remember.
I think that might be the full title.
It's also expansions, so.
Yeah.
But I only have Eclipse on the paper. That's all I'm reading.
But Eclipse is winning that one. So good job, Eclipse.
All right. Next up, One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
Okay.
Versus Werewolf. No, that would be great, though. Versus Decrypto. So One Night Ultimate Werewolf, the werewolf party game from Bezier Games. Decrypto, the party game from Yellow Games, when you play on teams trying to discover each other's code words without giving away your own.
Yeah, interesting. Both kind of similar. They, Werewolf definitely more social deduction, but they are both games that you're on teams and you're trying to figure stuff out from clues. And
however, Decrypto, you know your team,
right?
And I really love.
You might know your team in Ultimate Werewolf. I mean, it depends on
right. The one side. Well, I guess with all the weird roles, there might be some weird stuff, but
yeah,
I'm gonna have to go with Decrypto because I think I like. One, I'm more inclined to when there's the non-social deduction, but I love the creativity that comes with trying to come up with clues that your team can get without giving it away. I just think that's really fun, and just see how creative people can be, and also how people fail miserably. Like, what was the one? It was Flavor Flav, I think.
Yeah, the clue was Flava Flav, and I assumed that meant clock. But no, it was referring to the word taste. So that was a good one. Yeah, I think I want to pick Decrypto too. I feel sort of bad because I want to give One Night Ultimate Werewolf its due. I do think
this
that's
one
a
is
real
definitely
strong.
A lot closer than I think all our previous ones.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit maybe getting short shrift here too, because when it comes to social deduction games, we've put a lot more time into like the Resistance and some other ones, and there's a lot of expansions and other versions of One Night. We haven't
done
tried.
like Villain, Alien.
Although I guess
Vampire.
those would have their own entries, maybe than not.
Well, even still, just the idea of when you have a lot more of the roles, because then you can have a lot more fun playing with like some of the weirder stuff. Like I mentioned, like maybe there is a thing where no one knows their team or something like that.
Yeah, I do think that other games. I think it was instrumental.
That was the thing. I played versions of it because I mean, Werewolf, the original Werewolf, Mafia. I played so much of that. I think that's also part of a thing.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're saying Decrypto.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, close.
Next up.
By the way, I just want to say quick hi to people in the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Michael Joyce said that at first he thought you were hugging your coffee maker. No, not a coffee maker, but they should make one that looks like that. All right, now what do we got?
I actually got this for free. They were out of small bags of popcorn. That's how much.
That's a popcorn container from a movie theater. Yeah,
from Solo. But they're like, we need to get rid of this. Please take it.
Yeah.
But next up, Fog of Love, the 2-player game about maybe getting together or breaking it off. It depends on what cards you have. Versus, this one, Tiny Towns. the game that can go up to quite a number of players, where you are building up little towns and using resource cubes. And currently a great game to play right now when you're isolated at home.
Yeah, AEG is doing playthroughs of that, I think, every weekday right now on their channel, so you can look for that. Yeah, I like Tiny Towns a lot. This is interesting because they're two very different games.
Right. I feel like I love Fog of Love because to me it's less of like a game and more like role playing.
Yeah, although yes, it definitely is.
No, it has
role-playing.
game elements. It has game elements. Like you can think about how to win.
A lot of it is still definitely informed by. They're very hand in hand, I think, in that game. The role playing and your actual mechanical parts.
Tiny Towns, on the other hand, is much more of an actual game, and I love the fact. I mean, even before now, where it's very convenient, but that it could fit a lot of people. I thought it was really clever how it came up, and the fact I love that the designer even focused and talked about the monuments even later. And with the expansion, we haven't tried it yet, but it seemed to answer a lot of things that made me worry about the game when we did the review. So this is a pretty hard one for me.
Yeah, this is tough. I think in terms of purely, what I love in games, like again, they're very different, but I tend more towards. I think Fog of Love is more innovative. I think it does stand out as more unique. Tiny Towns is really great, but there's other games. A lot of like roll and write games even that kind of do similar things. I think for me, I got to go Fog of Love.
I think unfortunately for Tiny Towns, I'm gonna have to agree with you because thinking about if start right behind me, if that just caught fire and choosing games to save, I think I'd say Fog of Love partially because it's so unique.
Yeah.
Very close, but I think like as you said, that was the final decision.
Yeah, Falcon HK said Fog of Love is 2 players max. I think maybe he thought you meant Fog of Love you could play with a number of players. For sure, you were talking about Tiny Towns.
Yeah. Oops, I probably.
No, we don't worry, we know. But hey, you could do team based. Could make something happen there.
You're bipolar.
That could happen.
All right, next up, Terra Mystica, the heavy Z-Man game in which you are all different races and of course trying to conquer a magical world.
That's somewhere. There it is. Maybe you can see it. Yep.
The heavy upgrade to Small World versus
Right.
Clank, the deck building game when you are all exploring usually a dungeon of some sort and trying to get out before the big bad kills you. I'm going to have to go with Clank on this one. I do love my deck building. And in this case, I know it's actually lost a lot of matchups in our list, but I do think it has some aspects, especially with expansions and stuff. It's really cool. So, and Terra Mystica, I guess I just haven't played it enough. It just seems to be like that thing that just slogs on for a long time with our group, at least.
Yeah, I definitely Terra Mystica doesn't see a playtime as much for us because, like you said, it's a long, heavy game, and a lot of times we're playing other things, and it's hard to get those to the table. That said, however, I also do like Clank a lot. I think overall, in terms of looking at these two games and how I feel about their designs and everything, I think I like Terra Mystica. I think it is a better game in most. If you get the right people to the table and you're in the right mindset, I think I have a more satisfying experience.
Fair enough.
Mystica.
I mean,
and
we'll go to the score.
We finally have a clash.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So
I completely understand where you're coming from. I know I was thinking about because it is a long game, but I like some long games, and there are some on the shelf that even though we don't play them much, I keep thinking and wishing on them to come back. For example, another really old one, Dominant Species.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, Terra Mystica doesn't have as much as the draws like the game I mentioned before, so maybe some other big long ones we have.
Well, as we have a disagreement, we're going to go to Board Game Geek, and we are going to break the tie by seeing what the geek rating is.
Right.
The geek rating. So I looked up Terra Mystica on my phone here, and the geek rating is an 8.014, if we need to go that far.
Unfortunately, Clank, a deck building adventure, the original base, is looking at a 7.625.
All right, so that's a win for Terra Mystica, unless you want to veto it.
No. Oh, we should. I guess we'll see if the chat says anything a little later.
Let's see. Glenn DeBlock said, "I like Terra Mystica better too." Falcon HK said he hasn't played it yet. Yeah, we'll give the win to you, Glenn.
If anyone isn't happy with that, you can blame Glenn.
I
All right.
I think I like Clank in Space a little better also. Um, and Michael Joyce mentioned Clank Legacy. Haven't tried that one yet, but
No, we
interested.
have not. But I think that actually made Tom Vassel's #1, or at least his top 10.
Wow. Well, there you
So,
go. If Tom Vassell said it. All right, what do we got next?
all right. Next up, Pictomania, the fun drawing party game.
Pictionary with a twist, I like to call it.
I'm always angry because whenever you take it out to play is when I'm off doing something else.
Gotta stick
Very
around.
jealous about that.
Gotta be vigilant.
Versus Gloomhaven, everyone's darling.
Wow, I mean, there couldn't be a a more uneven matchup.
Yeah,
I mean, Pictomania is a game we both really love. Pretty
I
much.
love Pictomania,
Yeah.
but I think this time I am gonna give it to Gloomhaven.
Yeah, I mean, we are both people who have been a little skeptical of Gloomhaven, but I think I agree in this instance. It would feel just a little wrong to give it to Pictomania. I think Gloomhaven is. We don't need to explain why it's winning. I mean, it's a giant great game. Pictomania is a real fun party game, but yeah, I think that's Gloomhaven's to win.
All right, next up, Forbidden Island.
Okay.
Part of the Forbidden series, the lightest one of them all. One of my first games. Ironically, I bought it on an island on vacation.
That's cool. I don't know if it's ironic. I think it's just
Not ironic. You're right. I don't know how to use irony.
You know that those commenters are going to jump on us for using irony wrong.
No. And that's why you got to keep me in line, Jonathan.
All right, so Forbidden Island.
Versus Evolution. The North Star. It was one of their first times when they left the party game, because they have a lot more party games printed before that. But this was their bit more dipping into the more heavy game scene with the Animal Evolution. I like the Forbidden series. I think they're great additions to the shelf, especially for newcomers. But I have lost Forbidden Island on turn 1. It is a very random game, and that's just the nature of the beast. So, and I love the Evolution. I loved it. I liked it before. I think we talked about it in our review of Oceans, but I think Oceans fixed a lot of it. So I'm going to go with Evolutions on this one.
Yeah, Forbidden Island, I think, is great for what it is. I think it's a really great early co-op game, especially for younger kids or just for more casual players. But I think probably I like Desert better. I like Sky better.
I haven't played Desert. Oh yeah, Sky's definitely better. I have not played Desert actually.
So I would give it to what was the other one again?
Evolution.
Evolution.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel bad now that it won because you forgot.
It's kind of actually is that both of those games are games I think they made better versions of later. So it's interesting, but. Yeah, I'll give it to Evolution. That's pretty close for me, though. Pretty close.
Yeah. Well, next up, we have Tapestry, the recent game from Stonemaier Games, and you are building up civilizations. That could be another good one for a solo play.
Mm-hmm.
Next,
careful. I don't know what happened, but be careful.
Muse. This was a Kickstarter, if I recall correctly, an art game when you are assembling your own little collection.
Muse.
Sorry. Wow.
I was I started to panic. I didn't know what to. I didn't play this one.
I like a lot of the aspects in Tapestry. I think there are some really fun, interesting mechanics. Muse, though, I feel like is, at least for me, is a little bit of a hidden gem. I really love those museum collecting games. I mean, like Museum. Though we'll talk about our thoughts on Museum and probably comparing all these general museum collection games and where they work and where they fail. And it's really fun to just make this little set of cards.
For me, I'll tell you, I think it's Tapestry. I think Muse is a nice, cute, zen-like little game that's relaxing and fun to see your little things. But Tapestry, I mean, again, I don't, I think it was a little bit overhyped, but there's a lot of good stuff going on in that game.
No, there is, but I think
in this case, I think more is more for me.
Well, the problem is, I think when I look at more is more, I think there are better games to do what Tapestry does for Muse for that light spell. It is in the top end for me. So that's what I'm thinking about.
Fair enough.
But
is it your pick?
That's the thing. Is that enough to push it over Tapestry? Because you said it is a lot more. And you know what? No, I'm going to still give it to Tapestry. Because once again, I'm looking at the 2 because I'm like, I feel like I'm being unfair because other Stonemaier games are just so great. And even then, the quality of all the products and stuff still. So I think I'm being a bit unfair to judge Tapestry that way. I am going to give it to it.
All right, that's Tapestry. Let's check in with the chat real quick. Let's see. Falcon Ash K said he won a game on our Extra Life almost 4 years ago that we signed. I think he's talking about Pictomania. I'm not sure which game he was referring to. Let's see. Glenn said, Decrypto, me and my friend group had some of the most fun nights ever. I've never introduced it to anyone who didn't love it. People voting for Evolution. And Falcon SK said sometimes I glitch a little bit. So sorry. Well, hopefully it's okay. Let's keep going. Right.
So this was a fun one that we did a review on because this was one everyone was clamoring for. Jurassic Park 3 Island Survival Game.
That's the old...
I'm not even going to read the next one. We know that's going to be the winner.
Old licensed... we actually have a old video on it if you want to watch us play it.
It goes along with the Pokemon game.
Right.
Versus Call to Adventure.
Actually... Sorry, go ahead.
Call to Adventure, the storytelling game when you'll be trying to live out the story of your hero by gathering cards, defeating monsters, and gaining either glory or infamy.
I don't think those are exact words. Calling it a storytelling game is a little generous, but I
think that's what they use.
Yeah. I will say Jurassic Park 3 I think it's a lot better than the Pokemon game. I actually think that game is playable.
I actually agree. Well, not only is it the difference is the Pokemon game feels like something like to leave off. The Jurassic Park game, it has a lot of faults, but I think it could be upgraded to make a good game. If that makes sense. It actually has something there you could work with. Like, I bet if you gave it to any professional game designer, they could make it good.
Yeah. That being said, Call to Adventure, while I also am not head over heels for that game, it's winning this fight.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not a couple people in the chat big fans of Call to Adventure as well. Yeah.
Now we should have done the Pokemon game versus Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a crossover I've been waiting to see all my life.
All right, Exceed, the 2-player fighting game.
From level 99.
Yes. Versus Seven Wonders, the drafting game.
Oh.
I love that Seven Wonders. I think it's one of the few ways for you to really get a great drafting experience that isn't buying packs of Magic cards, which means it's a lot easier to explain the game to people. Yeah. So I'm going to have to go with that.
Yeah, I think this is just an uphill matchup for Exceed, which I think is a great little fighting game, but Seven Wonders, it's a classic. It's for a reason.
I feel like every 2-player game is an uphill battle, always, because it's so hard not to think about a game and be like, well, I can play this more.
That's probably true, maybe true for us, but I think a lot of people have more opportunity and love the 2-player games. But yeah,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's definitely something that is always, it's something I always think about, like, man, it's a little unfair because it's so much easier to get a 4-player game to the table than it is versus a 2 max.
Yeah, but even Seven Wonders, you could also say, I mean, at least I feel
Duel and everyone loved.
Right, that's true. But Seven Wonders, I usually like it with like 4 or 5 players. I know some people really don't actually like it at higher player counts. I don't know, but I still think it's a better game, and certainly more in terms of its influence. If you were going by that, like its status in board games, that's clearly the winner.
It's definitely also, I mean, we should definitely do a video on this, but I think there's a list of games I would consider that fall under the gateway games, but
still good.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, good way games.
So next up, we have the DC Comics deck building game, the original.
All right.
Not Rebirth. I hope Rebirth comes out.
Classic DC deck building game.
Versus 2 Rooms and a Boom.
Well, I know how I think this is going to be a clash.
Yeah, these are both on our top 20 lists,
but on opposite ends. Yeah. I had 2 Rooms, you had DC. Well, maybe
I will say this.
Yeah,
I'm not going to veto, though we usually look at the score, because both of these I'm happy with. Because I do think, like you said, even though 2 Rooms and Boom didn't make mine, it's such a great, unique experience.
It's interesting because 2 Rooms and a Boom is very indie. I wonder what the scores will be for these. I don't know. We're gonna find out. We're gonna look them up. People who don't know,
I gotta spell that right.
2 Rooms and a Boom is social game where you talk to each other, you go to different rooms, and you're trying to figure out hidden identities. And DC deck building game is a deck building game with Superman in it.
No. He's not in that one.
Oh, really?
All right. I have my rating.
All right. Let's hear it.
I have a geek rating of 6.654.
Wow. Two Rooms and a Boom has a geek rating of 6.597.
Ooh, wow. All right.
I'm like, I'm tempted to use my veto just because I never use it.
Go for it, man. Come on. You know you wanna.
Sure.
All right.
I'll do it. I'm vetoing. Get out of here, DC deck building game.
This is actually very strategic because I want Battlestar to go up, and I'm going to make sure it loses.
People are going to be mad at me too. I know it has its fans because people have like DC deck building game.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Because you usually, but there are worse things for it to go up against. Well, lose to, I mean.
They are just so. It really is just a matter of like tastes because they're just completely different genres.
They're not, yeah, they're not ones where we'd be angry to lose to. But anyways, let's move on. The Pillars of Earth. This is a Euro-style game in which you are building up a cathedral.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
very
classic.
cute with little wooden blocks. Versus I Say Holmes. This was one of the many Holmes games out there. I think this had a weird point system, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. Victory Point Games is the publisher. It's not a classical mystery solving game. It is competitive. Instead, you're like trying to figure out what cards are in people's hands, and it's themed around solving mysteries, but it's not like Consulting Detective. It's not like a story game.
I think Pillars of the Earth was really fantastic. It was a big surprise for me, for someone who's not usually a fan of the Euro style games, and it's one I want to play a lot more, especially compared to Holmes, where I think when you take something like public domain like Sherlock Holmes, you're going to compare it to all other Sherlock Holmes games, and it's definitely not the best out there.
Yeah, I think Holmes hasn't aged super well. I do think Pillars of Eternity has aged very well. I think, in spite of how like you said, it's kind of this classical old school vibe to it, it still plays really well. So yeah, that's my pick.
However,
yes,
I will mention that I Say Holmes, you may have to look online for it, like promo and stuff, but they did do a modern Holmes version. So if you like the modern Sherlock Holmes with Cumberbatch.
Well, Cumberbatch.
Pick that up.
Dean in the chat says he would have picked DC, but said DC Rebirth is better. I agree.
All right.
Yeah.
We have the Game of Thrones card game.
Okay.
I assume this is the second edition. You haven't played the first.
Yeah. Well, second edition.
Neither
LCG.
of us have played the first.
Yes.
So I'll specify that. But
good to note.
Versus Choose Your Own Adventure, House of Danger, based on the Choose Your Own Adventure books. This was the first one. Did you get the second one?
No, haven't played the second one.
That would be a good one to pick up for online.
Might not be bad. We should do the first one and just let people in the audience
make the choice.
What we do.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely an LCG fan. And I didn't have as much of a great experience as you did for House of Danger, so I'm going to have to go with Game of Thrones.
I did have a lot of fun with Choose Your Own Adventure. I think it's a super goofy game that's good to play.
I like the mechanics. It was the story that fell a little flat for me.
Yeah.
So maybe the next one would change my mind.
Yeah, I think that for me, I thought I liked that the story was stupid. Like, I think that's kind of how those books go. That being said, it's a simple dice rolling game. I don't think it stands out too much. Game of Thrones, even though I'm not as big on LCGs, when I sit down to play it and other people set up the decks for me, I think it's very solid mechanics in that game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always great when someone else does the prep work for you.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing, even though, boy, it sometimes takes too long.
No, don't get me wrong. If the Game of Thrones game actually went up to some other LCGs, there'd be a bit more discussion from me. But for now, it's one.
Yeah, that's our winner for that one.
And it stays out. You're lucky.
Dean said he's lost in House of Danger. I don't think we actually lost. I don't
think we did.
I think we managed to.
We came close once, I know, because I remember we got lucky with a psychic premonition.
Yeah, you want to do a few more?
Yeah.
Let's do a few more.
You just let me know when to stop.
Okay.
All right. Next up, Seasons, the dice rolling engine building game.
Big fans.
One of our early games in our collection.
Another also can have a big drafting component. It's a variant, but I think it's a pretty core part of the game once you.
Oh yeah, no, the draft is a.
What do we got? Take your time.
Scrabble, the classic word game.
Oh man.
Regardless of my thoughts on Scrabble, I don't think it's a bad game, but I'm just not great with words all the time. Though I've done pretty well in it sometimes. I actually really like Seasons. I think it's a really great game. I think you have one expansion. I don't know if they did more beyond that. And I think my biggest fault with it is that it definitely feels significantly different at 3 versus 4. But other than that, I love the weird engine aspect and all those fun little cards in there.
The thing about Scrabble is that it's not really a word game. It pretends to be a word game.
Right.
It's a numbers game.
It is, but I'm bad at both ends.
But I'm like, I love word games, but Scrabble, I mean, I'll play it once in a while for kicks, but I think we've done a lot better in that genre. But it is an interesting one that of all these games, like classic games like Monopoly and Life and whatever that have been around for so long, Scrabble, I feel like it still is justified. Like it is a game. Like I don't think the mechanics are bad.
Oh yeah, no, because it's not just making the word. It's like you can choose the word and the placement to try to block someone or something like that.
It's an area control game too.
A little bit, yeah.
But
in fact, we've played that on the beach.
It's true with the special magnetic.
There's a portable edition.
Portable version. Yeah, I gotta go with Seasons. I that's a game that it's one of those games that I'm always like, I wish we had like more of a chance to go back and play it because it's always, and especially that's a game where
is that just what this board game battle is? Is us just regretting not playing all of these enough?
It's all of these. That's one too that really I think rewards knowing the cards. That when you pull
you could
off
actually
those combos,
probably have a lot of fun doing like customized decks and make it more aggressive or something.
Sure.
Something weird like that. Well, anyways, Sentinels of the Multiverse. This is the cooperative superhero game that is not set, surprisingly, in Marvel or DC.
That's right. All originals.
It's actually finished up, so you can just focus on what's out there. Versus Valeria Card Kingdoms. This is an engine building game with rolling dice and the things that may trigger on your turn or off your turn.
Sort of Machikoro style a little bit.
Yes, exactly. This one's hard. I'm gonna have to go with Valeria Card Kingdoms, partially just because I think I'm a bit more of a fan of the engine building aspect. In Sentinels, you choose your deck of cards, and that's really it. It's really just hoping you draw the right cards at the right time and really knowing what the environment and the enemy is. So, not that that's a bad thing. It means you're gonna get a lot more, I think, reward from playing it a lot. But that means you really got to focus in on it sometimes and maybe hope for certain draws. When I think Valeria Card Kingdoms, I can just have sort of fun playing it.
Yeah, I think Valeria is really good. I think I gotta go. I'm gonna say Sentinels. I think
that is fine. Like it's a very hard pick for me, and I also say I like them more because they're not Marvel or DC. They're more interesting here.
Yeah, that is a great thing about it. I think that in general, that game can be really punishing, and there's some things that aren't great about it. Valeria, I might be a little unfair to because I don't think I've really played it. Certainly not as much as Sentinels.
Yeah, I definitely played it a lot more without you.
And Sentinels, I've really, I just love the theming of it and all that, and I tend to like co-op games. So
also, both of them come with dividers for cards. They respect the game.
That's important to note. And I really love Valeria's spin-offs, too. I think they have some great smaller
world.
games. Yeah. So we got to look up because we got another a board game battle on our hands.
This is very good. We're getting some good battles. I was a little worried at first.
Yeah. Sometimes we disagree. And I think you still have a veto left.
I do, but I'm waiting for it. This one is too close for me. I think both of them are great picks.
Sentinels geek rating on Board Game Geek has a 7.02.
All right. Unfortunately, Valeria Card Kingdoms 6.869.
All right, you sure you don't? You sure you're good? You sure you're good?
Yeah, I'm happy. No, I'm more than happy. Both of these I think are really fun games.
Even if like we might wrap up soon and you wouldn't lose anything by using it.
Yeah, no, I'm
right.
perfectly fine.
Okay, all right. So we'll let
Because
that one
you
go.
know what? It's a matter of like, do I disagree with the people on Board Game Geek? I do not. I think they're smart in this case.
Yeah.
I'm not smart, but I agree.
Yeah. No, it's smart. You're saying the right thing. All right. Well, let's do one more.
All right, last one. Oh, God.
Then we'll call it quits.
We didn't play test this at all. Fluxx on lots of coffee.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous, very casual, very light party game.
Fluxx is definitely the one to fight it with.
I thought it was going to go up against Fluxx. That would be interesting.
That would have been, but unfortunately, it's going up against Freshwater Fly, the fishing game we did a review on recently, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I don't know that we didn't playtest this at all. It might be near the bottom of my list of games in general.
It's a fun experience to maybe do a couple times, but I don't think I want to go. I don't have a huge desire to go back to it.
Yeah,
I joke by calling Fluxx, but I think you might as well just do Fluxx because I think Fluxx can actually be. While the rules change a lot, it's a bit more gamier, and at least you can get a fun theme to go on. There are a couple things that are hilarious, but that we didn't playtest this. I think if you were maybe drinking or something, you can have a lot of fun, but.
Yeah, we didn't playtest this. It's almost more of it's like an experience. It's not really
Hence why I used that word earlier.
Yeah.
And Freshwater Fly, I think, is actually a game.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. If you're like fishing, it has some cool solo content. We reviewed it. It's
some really cool mechanics, I think, to bring the fishing into make them actual in-game mechanics. So yeah, I think we're in agreement here.
Yeah. Let's do one more. Let's get a juicy one to end on.
All right, we're gonna do.
It's like
our
potato
two
chips.
number ones from our top 10 list, and someone used this veto. No, excuse me. Wrong pipe.
I know that feeling.
Codenames Undercover.
Codenames on the adult version of Codenames. I was excited. You said Codenames. I was like, oh boy.
Versus Villainous, the Disney game.
The Disney villain game.
So for kids or for adults?
Hey, those villains can be real edgy. Maleficent, she's mean. Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Codenames Undercover has a really solid foundation. It's built around a game we love. It's just obviously of all the different Codenames versions, I'd argue it's the weakest. I will say. They made a newer edition of Undercover that supposedly has different words and like is a little bit less like a lot of the words I think in the first edition were very similar to each other. there were like a bunch that were just, a name for parts of the anatomy. I think they made the second one like a little, so I can't comment on that one. So it's like a great game that they kind of made worse versus a like pretty good game that
a decent game that is unique. I think they did some cool stuff with it. Is that enough to beat just Codenames? That's the thing. I feel like if I'm picking Codenames Undercover, it's because I'm picking Codenames.
Yeah. And that's okay if that is what you want to do. But I don't know. This is honest. Like I think both are pretty even for me for those reasons. That Villainous, there's issues with balancing and all that kind of stuff. I think the theme is fun, and I do love
I think the theme
Disney
is
movies.
Fun. I'm not as much of a crazy fan of classic Disney movies, but I still love that they tried to do something interesting and different compared to Pokemon or Jurassic Park. I think the copyright title games have come a long way since when we were kids.
Yeah, since Pokemon Master Trainer.
Yeah.
I think if you put both of these on the table, most of the times I'm going to probably lean towards probably Villainous. But I think it's close. I think I'm going to give it to Villainous. What's it gonna be?
I am going to give it to Villainous. If it was Codenames, it would lose to that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think that adult theme, and because it is, I think I agree with you, probably my least favorite of the Codenames stuff.
It's more niche. It's just doesn't...
It's more of just like, ha, get
right.
it, adult joke.
Right. It's funny. Like it's with a certain group, it could be funny, but It's not. We're going family friendly on this one. All right. So we did a bunch. I mean, we spent. We're streaming. It's a little more relaxed. We probably spent more time discussing these than we usually do, which is maybe nice. So people were chatting along the way, and thanks for tuning in and letting us know what your opinions were. If you're watching this after the fact, definitely still leave a comment and let us know what you think about it. And again, you can go to rollforcrit.com/boardgamebattle, and we've got a fully updated list.
This will be updated shortly.
Yes, we'll try to keep it up to date of our total rankings.
Now, if you're a usual viewer of ours, we usually do a gauntlet, not gambit, in which we sort of put one game up against the rest. We're not doing it for this first stream. However, should we do future streams, which is very likely board game battles, let us know your thoughts when you can comment on this video when it uploads regularly and stuff, and we'll take a look at that and maybe make that the new gauntlet round.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll also come up with in the past we put up polls on our Patreon page, so something else you might want to take a look into. But I have no doubt, being the situation as it is, this is one that we can stream pretty regularly if you like it. So let us know. Thanks everybody, and happy Passover. And hope you're doing well out there and keeping a cool head.
Remember to wash your hands and stay safe. I'm Will.
I'm Jonathan.
And this was streaming of Board Game Battle.
Yeah, thanks guys. Bye. Oh, I gotta end it.